AEW saved some big money after cutting several talents. But how much money did they save? Well, in this video, we are going to be breaking down exactly how much AEW saved by cutting the likes of Malakai Black, Ricky Starks, Miro, Ray Phoenix, and others. Because AEW, well, they've had a history of keeping talents under contract regardless of whether or not they were using them. They would just put them on the shelf for no reason until their contracts came up. It does look like AEW will save a significant amount of money by moving on from these performers. They're saving money and they're making the performers much happier compared to just keeping them on the sidelines for the last year. It's been a tough couple of years for AEW and Tony Khan. After initially launching in 2019, quickly rising to the occasion, getting some notoriety, and delivering a product in which the wrestling fans had been craving for the last decade, while WWE had some of the worst creative known to mankind due to Vince McMahon. However, in May of 2022, Vince McMahon, he was ousted from the company due to hush money scandal and payments, and Triple H took over main roster creative, and since then the company has turned around and caught fire over the last few years. As a result, and unfortunately for AEW, they've seen a downturn in attendance, television ratings, and overall interest, as well as dealt with some missteps in that time because of the product. It has damaged their product in the eyes of many fans and wrestlers on their roster. Now, since 2023, there's been a mass exodus of AEW talent looking to take their talents either to WWE or to TNA or New Japan or wherever. As wrestlers look to leave, Tony Khan has opted to add injury time onto their contracts as a way to keep them from the competition. And he would just pay them to be on the sidelines regardless of whether they were injured or if they were ready to go and simply just not used. However, his thinking in recent weeks and months, it's obviously shifted. Unhappy performers such as Miro, Ricky Saints, aka Ricky Starks, Ray Phoenix, and Malakai Black have either been released or given their walking papers after their deal had ended. And it seems like the pettiness of keeping these talents around will obviously save the company millions in 2025. So exactly how much money will AEW be able to save because of this? Well, AEW is looking to save $3 to $4 million in the departures of Miro and Malakai Black and others. Okay, now this is according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio. He said, between the four guys, by releasing them, it's a significant amount of money saved. You're probably talking about $3 to $4 million a year in cost for guys you're not using. Now, AEW is paid big bucks by Warner Bros. Discovery. However, that is still a substantial amount of money that AEW had not been getting a return on, right? You cannot generate income, you cannot generate revenue, I should say, off talents who are not used on television. Now you can take that $3 to $4 million and you can invest it in hiring more talent, which I don't think AEW necessarily needs, but they can. You can invest that money into TV production or hiring behind the scenes or whatever, right? There's so many various uses that you can use this money. Miro was a guy that he hadn't wrestled for the company since 2023. Ray Phoenix, Ricky Starks, they weren't used for months. And while Black, well, he competed for the company a little bit part of 2024, he hadn't been really used in a significant way. Considering the decline that AEW has experienced in overall interest, television ratings, ticket sales, the savings in 2025 will be a big help to AEW's bottom line, as they instead focus on their finances, on talent that they can use more of. I think this is a brilliant strategy by AEW and Tony Khan. I'm grateful that Tony Khan, whether he was persuaded to do this, whether he just woke up one morning and said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to release these people, whatever the case may be, good for him. Now, reportedly, Abaddon and Zach Knight and another star, they are obviously going to be not renewed their contract, according to Dave Meltzer. They are going to be essentially just splitting ways with AEW. They're not being released. They're just waiting on their deals to expire. This is smart by AEW. Why would you want unhappy talent under contract in your promotion? Why would you want talent who do not want to be there? You are not using just to sit on the sidelines and collect a check. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Talent in wrestling are unique. They're different. They're a little crazy. You don't get into pro wrestling to make money. You get into pro wrestling to do it because you're passionate about it. You love it, right? Jake Roberts recently said this on his Snake Eyes podcast. You would be a fool to get into pro wrestling because there is no money in it for a lot of people. Those who make it to WWE and AEW and all these other bigger promotions and are lucky enough to do it full time, they are in the minority. Okay, the majority, you're making maybe $20 a night. It's a very, very hard business to make money in now. If you do make it big, or you do sign with a top tier company, then yes, you would be making a pretty good living. Now, of course, you got to pay taxes in every United state in the United States. You have to pay your road expenses, your hotels, your rental cars, your food, etc. But you can still make a significant amount of money. There's still a lot of people out there that don't make that kind of money, right? Like there are talents, they're only making $80,000 a year. And that sounds like a good living, and it is. But when you're on the road and you're coughing up all these expenses on a weekly basis, there's not a lot to bring back to the table. So you have to keep that in mind. With AEW, I praise them because I want to see AEW to succeed. I want to see them succeed. And you can succeed as long as you make the right decisions in business. And I believe that AEW cutting these talents, letting these talents go who don't want to be there go is the right choice. It's the right choice for AEW, and it's the right choice for them. Because at the end of the day, what is it that you were getting out of by having the talent sit at home and pay them to do absolutely nothing? You're not getting anything from it from AEW. And like this ideology now of, well, I can't let this star go to WWE. It's like, hey man, maybe instead of focusing on WWE, maybe you focus on your own product and try to fix that. Because you can have all the talent in the world and you can have all the financing that you want in the world, but if you don't have a product that fans want to tune into, you don't have a product that has a bunch of star power that actually wants to be there and wants to be utilized, you're in a very bad situation. So fix your own house before you go and try to fix someone else's house is the best advice that I can give AEW and Tony Khan.